Tonight's video is made possible by Mofo RC. I'm going to show you the next parts that you are going to have. These things are really cool. Keep watching. Welcome back to the center. Tonight's video is going to be a little different than normal, and that is because Mofo RC has been kind enough to provide the content for tonight's video, and I'm pretty excited about this. I saw what he calls Flexblades online and was just blown away by it because it's such a simple idea, and yet it supposedly works really well. I've not tried them yet. I got these a few days in the mail ago and have not had a chance to actually do anything with them, and it's been driving me crazy. But I'm really looking forward to putting these on, seeing what they'll do. And along with, I just wanted these little flex plates to add some travel to the suspension, but what I got is the whole suspension upgrade kit, and this is going to allow a vast array of shock positioning for a standard kit. And apparently there's a kit for the deadbolt and the C10, and it's kind of broken loose there, but I'll turn the light on for it so you can see that in case you're wondering and want to be able to contact him and get a set of these yourself. It's brakesandgo@gmail.com, or call it 512-577-2273. And this is pretty cool. I'm kind of humbled that somebody would send all this to me. This is what I'm going to deal with tonight, first of all, but in a future video, this is something that I'm super excited about. It's going to eventually look like this. It's the I forget what they call it, the mini rock bouncer kit. And a lot of you remember when I built the C1, and you can't run this with the deadbolt chassis, and I'm sorry, the E1. This is called the E1. And what I didn't like about it was I can't run deadbolt geometry with it, but this kit here, apparently I can do that. I'm really looking forward to doing this. And for the basis of it, I got myself a brand new deadbolt, and I've already gone through and lightened it up. I lightened up the ESC tray and put a hole in the top for ventilation. I can always put a piece of tape over that should I run it out in the wet. And of course you don't really want to do that anyway, because there's a antenna hole that's going to let water in anyway. But I've high clearance the suspension links. I've made sure that nothing rubs, and I've already brassed out the front axle. What else? Clearance the trailing links so that they don't rub on the battery tray, anything like that. And mudslinger tires, RC 4-wheel drive, stamp steel rims. Once you get these put together, they're pretty good. I like the rims. They're cheap, and that's the main reason I like them. But first thing I'm going to do tonight in this video is just find out what the stock flex is, the articulation, and then I'm going to install these flex blades here, and they're really clever. I'll show you what they look like once I get them installed, but right now I'm just going to get a baseline so that we'll have some comparison. You've seen me use this method of measuring articulation in the past when I had the E1. And just to start off with this rig, all the wheels are touching something, and this turns out to be 27 quarters worth of articulation. You can count them if you want. I'm going to count them for you and just show you them laid out. But I like to use quarters because it's a cheap way to get a reliable measurement that is repeatable. Anybody in the US with quarters can do this same test. And next thing we're going to do is look at what these little Flexblades do when you put them on. And I'm going to put them on all four corners. Actually, I'm going to put them on just the rear to start off with, and then I'll put them on all four corners after that. And that is 27 quarters, 2 rows of 10 plus 4 and 3, 27. So this is what a flex blade is right here, and I'll show you why this thing is so clever in a minute. But this is the pivot hole where the current hole, actually the screw for the lower shock mount, I got mine inverted, that's why it might look different than yours. But right now I'll be taking this screw out here and disconnecting the shock, and then this screw will go through here, and this is designed to pivot. These will now become the lower shock mount holes, and there are two different options, and they appear to be about 3 or 4 millimeters apart, and that will actually give quite a bit of clearance difference when on a car this large, or this small actually, that's quite a bit of difference. And this little, I don't know what you call that, a limiter of some sort, will actually prevent it from, when it extends, from going over center. You don't want this whole thing flipping completely over and going backwards. So this will actually come in contact with the axle and prevent it from going over centered. So this is a really, I mean, it's a simple little thing. It is just a simple little thing, but the concept behind it is brilliant. I love it. It's just an easy way to give a stock spring a lot more articulation. And another thing I like about it, these are really cheap. I mean, it's a third of the price of the kinetic shocks. And I'm going to go ahead and install these on the back side and show you what they look like installed and the way they're intended to move. This is what the flex blade looks like installed. I've got my reservoir on the way. I might just cut that off so you can see it better. But what this blade allows the suspension to do is just that little bit of extra articulation. I need to get rid of that, but let me cut that off, and I'll this fake reservoir, and you'll be able to see it better. All right, problem solved. So now you can see the extra articulation that we get from having the flex blade. Once the shock is fully extended, you get that extra extension there at the end. And I would imagine if you made this little bump out a little thinner, you could even get a little more. You're going to weaken the blade a little bit, but maybe you don't care about that. But you can see at the end of the travel, you do get quite a bit more. I'm going to find out what that additional travel is. And one thing I've noticed, when I put the kinetic shocks on all 4 corners, it was too much, and it would actually let the truck roll over. I'm looking for something that's going to give about 1 tire width of articulation and no more than that. I'm finding out that too much articulation will allow your wheel to drop into holes and stick the truck somewhere, where if it could just carry the wheel and, you know, over the hole, it would have been better off. And that's one of the reasons why I like these flex blades, because it allows you to have 2 different mounting points on the ends here. Remember, we talked about it earlier. We've got the pivot hole that the silver screw that came with the kit goes through, and you got 2 options for mounting the shock on the end, and that makes these tunable, where a kinetic shock is not tunable. If you wanted super articulation, you could throw one of these on the bottom of a kinetic and it would just be bonkers. Might even be enough to separate the drive shaft. But I'm going to try this with the other side now, and then see what it gives me in articulation gain from 27. Here's a technical note. When you're putting the pivot screw in right here, the silver one that came with the kit, don't over tighten that, or it'll freeze this lever in place and it needs to be able to move. Also, something I'm finding out, that this Flexblade kit is really designed to work in combination with this suspension upgrade. And it's kind of a cool kit because it bolts into the existing holes. The one goes in the battery tray and the other one goes into the rear mount for the body hinge, and it gives you a ton of different options for mounting the upper shock. And it looks to me like you could make it a belly dragger or even raise it up. There's plenty of options on this upgrade piece where you can choose any one you like, and that looks like a cool thing. It makes your car suddenly very tunable, where from the factory it really isn't much. It's good from the factory, but if you're somebody who likes to tweak it out to make it perfect for your course, man, this is a cool upgrade. And it's all simple stuff, but it took somebody to think of it and actually make it. And I'm gonna install that because that's pretty cool. Let me do that too. Actually, you know what, we're gonna do that next. I want to get a test of the articulation gain just from putting the Flexblades on the rear axle. Well, without counting, I can already tell you that is a big improvement with just Flexblades on the rear axle. I do already have that one tire clearance that I like to have for my crawlers, and it's already cleared with just one set on the back. I did use the farthest back hole, which will allow the most travel in it, and now I'll count and see how many quarters that is. If you want to count it yourself, there it is. I'll do it for you here. I've come up with 3 rows of 10 plus 3 more, 33/4 amount of flex, and that is a difference of 6 quarters. And if you want to know how much that is, you can stack it up on your own and just see. I would have estimated that's about 1/2 inch or so, but that's, I think, a pretty good gain for such a simple thing added to the back. And let me get the focus better for you here. It didn't change the ride height at all, and it did give me a bit more, just that little bit more flex that it didn't have, that I thought I could really use. And I need to put a little bit of grease on my shocks so they work a little smoother, but let me do that. I'll get right back, and I'll be right back with you. This is just a quick shot of the action, how it works. And it is just that little simple amount that makes that 6/4 difference just by adding these to the rear axle. I don't think that is going to do a whole lot, giving away side hill ability. In fact, I think that's probably really good. I want a little bit of articulation, but not the double articulation of a kinetic shock, and on the back especially, because this is where you give away climbing performance. Is if this particular left side here extends too much, it'll suddenly kill your climb angle. I'm gonna go run this on my rock course. I've got some new lines, and I just want to see how it does. We're gonna do more with this tomorrow. I'm gonna put the front ones on in the morning, and we'll test them and do a little more videoing. Earlier today I was running this without the Flexblades on it, and it needs a little more droop to get itself over this. And I think once I put the blades on the front axle, it'll be even better, because the front end will be able to droop as well. And with just a little bit of momentum, I got it over no problem at all, just like that. And that was pretty much impossible earlier today, unless you just got lucky with it. And so far so good. I mean, that's just the first obstacle I've had. I'm going to run it down the rest of the course here. Still flexing out a little bit. You can see them doing their job in there. Probably going to tip it over, but maybe not. Sometimes all you need is just that little bit extra. Alright, we'll do just one more little short run here. It's getting pretty late. I need to head to bed. But I like this little area that I've created just because it really demonstrates the articulation. And kind of hit it at the wrong angle, but that's okay. But it's showing full flex there, staying controlled. Not too bad. I think these are a cool upgrade, and I would say this is definitely a legit part. It works. It doesn't over articulate. If you wanted it to be a little bit more dampened, you could experiment with tightening that pivot screw a little more, and I think that would slow the action down a little bit, but I don't know why you'd want to. I would just keep it free moving, but if you wanted to, you could dampen a little bit just by putting a little bit of extra friction in that pivot screw on the back. But anyway, that's all for tonight. We'll do some more tomorrow. I'll add the front flex blades, and might even go with the chassis upgrades, and those will work great with this new setup I have, and I'll show you why. You can't really tell in the video, but the shocks are now at an angle, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because they work really smooth that way. But by putting the suspension upgrades on there that I showed you earlier, it will re-straighten the shocks back to their vertical position. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll do more tomorrow.